Hey, so what's going on? So I'm TheChinest's, and I'm actually in front of the camera on this video. And what finally got me in front of the camera is I hit my 100 subscribers, and that's something I never really thought would happen. I thought it would really take me a year to achieve. So it's about 6 weeks into it, I hit my 100 subscribers. So to jump on that bandwagon a bit and to show my appreciation, I'm going to go ahead and do a 100 subscription contest, and I have a few rules here in order to partake into this contest. I'm going to be putting on for about a month. And for number one, you must be a subscriber, and you must have a public setting so I can verify that your name is actually on that list. Number two, you must make a video, and the title to that video must be The Chinest's 100 Sub Contest Entry. For that third item, you must put a link to this video in your description. Other than that, it's just a topic of discussion, and for the topics, I actually have two options for you. Option number one, I'd like for you to show what is your first comic that you ever received. And I'd like to clarify first versus your oldest comic. This is actually the first comic that you ever had in your possession. So for my first comic, I have Justice League, and this was from March of 1978. And I'm going to put a little bit bigger picture up there for you. So, the story behind this one is, my father would come home from work and he would stop by that 7-Eleven that's right next to our neighborhood, and he'd buy me just, little knick-knack toys, some comics here and there. So, this is actually my very first comic that I ever received from my father. So, sentimental at the same time, and he passed away a few years back. So, this didn't totally get me into comics, but, I kept that comic along with other comics that he gave me along the years. And I was actually, I think, 2.5 when he gave me this comic here. So, I'm always appreciative for that. So if you could share your first comic out there with me, I would appreciate that, and maybe a little story behind, if you could remember, or maybe who gave it to you, or what it means to you. I'd like to hear about that. So for option number two, I'm going to take something from my, past experience. And so, I actually started collecting comics back in 1986, and I kind of ran through that, kind of throughout college. And, so I stopped collecting comics in about 1999. And, it was one of those deals to where, I moved back to my home city, and, I was going to go find a local comic shop. Just a little bit lazy. I just never really got around to it. I was like, well, I'll just take a break. It became an extended break. And so fast forward, a decade and a half. And 2015, I think, I kind of heard the death of Wolverine. Like, Wolverine actually died. He was always my favorite. Grew up with X-Men, starting in 1986. And so I kind of got on YouTube and tried to see, like, hey, how did that happen? Like, what actually happened after all those years of him being just this iconic character? And, so I got on YouTube, and I can't remember which of the channels I got on back then, but that one little storyline, kind of got me into, I got into a couple playlists and started looking at some other storylines that were out there. So fast forward to March of this year, 2016, I finally, got time and finally got the urge to head over to a local comic book shop called 8th Dimension Comics and Games. And, the first time there, I ran into a very nice, friendly, professional owner there. His name is Jeremy. And, I kind of let him know the story of, hey, I used to collect comics. This is what I was into. I was all into X-Men. On the DC side, Justice League and Green Lantern was my absolute favorite. And he's like, well, so starting 2000 on, my question to him was, what happened? What are the major storylines along the timeline that, I should be interested in? I knew that, the New 52 was out. I kind of knew that, it was kind of like a brand new realm to the DC world. I was like, should I start there? Is there anything you see before that? He's like, well, have you heard of Jeff Johns? Because Green Lantern actually had a rebirth. I was like, Jeff Johns, who's that? Who's that guy? So, lo and behold, he actually became one of my favorite writers at this point in time. I've kind of gone through a few things with him. But what Jeremy introduced me to was the Green Lantern rebirth. And put a larger one up there for that. But so, getting into the Green Lantern run, I basically got this first rebirth and ran all the way up to the New 52 run. So, I burned through all of that, and, that experience that I had just, 6 pages, I'd say, into this trade paperback here, I fully felt, completely immersed back into that comic, realm that we all know and love. I really felt like I was, back to age 12 again, and really just enjoying that storyline and the possibilities that, could come with that storyline. So, yeah, that's, when I came back into comics. So, the option number 2 is if you were ever out of comics, took an extended break, got out of it for some, whatever reason that may have been. When you came back into it, what was that comic or trade paperback, graphic novel, what was that comic that got you back into that comic world that we all here, on the YouTube comic community know and love? So yeah, that's the rules for this contest that I'm about to do here. And again, everything's going to be down below on the details for this contest that I just reviewed. Is going to be down below in the description. So let's move into what the giveaway is. So I've chosen 3 comics that I have, and I'm going to do a winner take all. So the winner's going to get all 3 of the comics I'm about to show. I'm going to do a random drawing, and I'm going to allow this contest entry to go up into midnight of January 14th of 2017 next year. So that's going to run for about 30 days. So, give you all enough time to get through Christmas and New Year's, and if y'all have free time, on vacation, whatever. But 30 days, and in order to qualify, you must be on the my subscriber list that I can see you. But I'll allow that to go all the way up until midnight of that January 14th of next year to be on my subscriber list to put an entry in. So I will be taking entries up until midnight, and on the very next day, on January 15th, I'm going to go ahead and do a random drawing and show you who that lucky winner is going to be. So here are the 3 that I have here. And so starting off, number 1, we have, from the Batman New 52 run. This is, I'm going to put a fly up over here. This is Batman number 13, and that's as part of the Death in the Family run. So this one has that special, fold out cover there. And this one is going for, so all these comics, let me go ahead and clarify, all these comics here are, I would argue a 50-50 on 9.8 if you actually submit it to CGC. None of these comics have ever been opened. They were bagged and boarded just right away. So these are pretty much mint condition. I'd say 9.7, the absolute minimum, which is what I'm basing these values on, okay? So going into this one is worth about $15 here. For the second comic, number 2 out of 3, I'm going to be giving away the Teen Titans number 1. And this is Teen Titans from the 2003 Jeff Johns series. And of course, I just mentioned Jeff Johns. It's one of my favorites now at this point in time. I've gone through a couple of series that I'll go into maybe in another video or so. So this one is actually going for about $17. So then for the third one, the third and the best one out there, in my opinion, is going to be the Wolverine number 1. And this is a variant. Let me put the larger copy up there. So this variant, so this is from the Wolverine run from 2014. So this is the variant number 1D, and this one was done by Jerome Opeña. So this one, and again, I'd argue 9.8, but at the 9.7 value, this one is going for $40. So we have a total of about $72, if everything based on that 9.7 value there. And with that, I'm going to include shipping, which I'm going to estimate for like another $8 or so to get that to your doorstep for a total value of $80. So I'm hoping that the $80 is enough incentive to see a diverse range of some comics that are out there. I'm sure we'll run into titles that no one has ever seen or heard of, possibly on other channels, may not have been as popular as or maybe not your favorites. But yeah, so I'm really hoping to see some some diverse comics, or the diverse possibilities that there could be. So again, I'd like to thank everyone really on the YouTube comic community. This is a great giving community. I think it's I wish I would have ran into this a couple of years back, but yeah, so just getting into it. Really thank everyone for pushing up my subscribers, getting those likes, and really appreciate it. Hopefully, next year we'll be talking about that lucky winner. And until I see you, until next time, good luck. Bye.